So this is your first album as a trio, correct?
Yes.
So your man, what was his name? Michael left the band in 2019. So how has that affected the what we're going to hear on the new record on Enjoy the View?
Yeah, it's going to be different because each album's had the four of us. We started this band when we were in high school at like 15 or 16.
Right.
So very codependent on each other and like worked like an odd family. And we had our roles that we sort of found and roles within the band that we knew that we all had to do. And everyone did their thing. And it worked. We really enjoyed working that way. And it was very strange to go and rehearse without Michael, because it was just this massive gap in the room that we were used to having. So it was strange to get used to. And then chuck in the pandemic, and it was a whole different way of writing an album for us. So it was writing this album was kind of like a fun project that we got to try with the three of us, and it definitely shook things up. And it ended up making like there was more space for me and Sean on bass to try a couple of things and fill out the space in ways that we would maybe do differently than Mike normally would have. So it was interesting for us to sort of navigate that change.
Gotcha. So what new roles have you guys moved around to? Who's doing what differently?
Yeah, it's just like coming up with even like a lead part for a section or something atmospheric. That was like, I kind of always didn't have to do that because Mike was there and that was his role. So it was interesting coming up with other parts and approaching songwriting from having to think of those details. Like normally I would just have to think of chords for a song and vocals and lyrics, but it was adding on to that. And it was nice. It was nice to hear Sean have more input too.
Always good to get the bass player in there doing something.
Always good. Always good.
Very good. So the album was recorded in Edinburgh, was it? Or where did you record?
We recorded it in Beetroot Studios. It was a place in Airdrie, sort of between Edinburgh and Glasgow. And it was like a converted library. It was the main live room. We were there for a few weeks and then we went to another studio in Glasgow in Castlemilk. But it was all sort of jumping between, like things opened up slightly and bands could get back in and rehearsing in studios. But it was in like that real small window where we slightly opened up our bubble and managed to squeeze in the recording. And then just sort of after we finished recording, there was like another lockdown in Scotland. So we were fortunate that we got it squeezed in. So we did Monday to Friday for maybe 6 weeks, which is quite a long time for us to spend, but it was like we had the time. I'm glad we used it.
That's excellent. And what was the vibe like in the studio when you guys were working together?
It was quite, we had everything demoed, which we don't normally do. We had everything demoed with all the tracks, so we could reference that quite a lot. It was, for the first few weeks, we were just trying to get everything down and recorded, and then the last few weeks we could spend like going through things and experimenting a bit more. But yeah, the vibe in the first place was like, let's get everything down that we've recorded so far.
Gotcha. Yeah. And as the recording progressed, did it kind of the album reveal itself to you, or did you have a good idea of what you were getting into when you started?
We had a good idea what we were getting into when we started. We were fairly well prepared, and we'd been working with the guy who engineered and produced it, Andy Bush. He's been a live sound engineer for a long time, and he recorded our second album. So we had him come through for rehearsals, and we were pretty well prepared, and we knew kind of what we were going for, and knew we wanted to create this nicer vibe and a sort of slightly dreamier soundscape. And that's what we went for.
Cool. Now I haven't heard the whole album because I haven't had access to all the tracks, but I have heard the first one, which is called Not Me Anymore, because that's been out so what can you tell me about that? Why is that kicking off the record?
Don't teach me, don't preach to me, don't ever let yourself out of my reach. Don't worry, don't hurry, I won't go away. There's no me anymore, there's no me anymore, no me.
That was a song that I wrote not long after our last album, and it sort of made it not really with jetpacks in mind, but just as like a little fun project. And I came back to the song when it was time to do our album, and I kind of felt that it aligned a little bit more with where I felt that our band was at.
Right.
And it kind of got the message or the theme of the album of sort of moving on or thinking, that was someone that was a past me, and I've shed that. I'm moving on, and I'm looking to a brighter future. That was kind of what I was trying to get across with this album, and that song kind of encapsulated it well. And we were going to use it as like a break in the album, because there's not really another song like it. There's no guitars in it, and then follows quite a strange structure. So, but it seemed like the first was a great place. It maybe draw the listener in and think that, hey, there's maybe something a little different with this album than previous ones that we've done.
Right. And are you concerned? I mean, you guys have been doing your thing for a number of years now. I assume you have a fan base that expects a certain something from you. So is that in the back of your mind when you're making this record?
I think so, yeah. But also have to realize, it's like, it's not that important that we stay too close to what we've done. We can always like do that again.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not each album that we do doesn't have to be, like the final one or the definitive one or the best one. It's one that we've tried at the moment.
Right.
And hopefully it doesn't stray too far. It's still guitars, bass, and drums, and it definitely doesn't stray too far from where we're going. But I hope it is slightly different enough to keep things interesting for us and everyone listening anyway.
Right. Now the second track, I believe, is called Fat Chance, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the one, yeah.
I've heard that one as well. What can you tell me about that?
It doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter where you've come from. It only matters where you're going. It only matters where you don't belong.
Yeah, that's a song that we found was pretty catchy straight away. And a lot, which is nice, because sometimes writing a song, it'll be like, weeks trying to work out how to link the verse to the bridge or whatever. And you get bogged down and you're going back and forth about whether it should be a B minor or an F sharp minor. And it's like, it gets laborious. But with that one, that was kind of joyous, because that was when the first song that we wrote when we got back in a room playing together, because the other songs we'd all sort of started on a garage band project and been pinging the songs back and forth.
Right.
So it was a bit more calculated. This one was just like all feeling and three of us sweating in a room playing like as hard as we can.
Right.
And it was really, really nice to like look at each other and that feeling of like, is this something? Is this good?
Yeah.
And then working on that and that coming out of nothing during a few hours of practice. So that's how that one came about. And again, that one's, trying to be hopeful and just be like, no matter what you've gone through, no matter what's happened, you can get there. And you can. Well,
it seems like just your own situation yourself here. You've been in this band for a while. One of your guys leaves, and you're in a pandemic. But you've just gotten married. You're now living in New York City. I mean, it's got to mess with your head a bit. That's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a lot of stuff going on, especially when like I was in New York when like the pandemic was starting, and the day I flew home to the UK, they announced like full lockdown.
Right.
So it was really strange going from like the world was massive and we were about to go on tour again, and I was in New York to like, whoa, I'm back in my like childhood bedroom at home with my parents trying to write an album. And it was weird, definitely weird trying to lyrically sing about feeling like I was moving on and doing stuff and things are happening. And then, but in reality, it was like, whoa, I'm back to square one and I don't really know when it's going to end.
Right. So the album is due out on Friday. What do you got planned for the day?
For the day, I'm actually going to a wedding in Rhode Island.
Oh my God.
Of a friend. And I think our bass player, he's got a wedding that he's going to in Edinburgh as well.
Right.
So yeah, I'll be doing that mostly, keeping my eye on things online and seeing if there's any nice things being said. But for the most part, I'll be drinking and celebrating someone else. Which
good on you.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to.
And are there dates in the future, gigs coming up? Have you got something planned?
Yeah, we do. We are playing in the UK in December,
right?
And then doing some shows in Europe in February, and then a big US tour in March and April. But yeah, like every other band, it's been about 6 or 7 reschedules of, and every time you talk to a booking agent, they just get more and more like.
Yeah. So have you done many shows as a trio, or how is it working?
Well, we've had a guitarist called Andy Monaghan playing with us. So he joined us live after Mike left.
Right.
So it's been great having him. Andy played in a band called Frightened Rabbit, and he also recorded. We've done loads of demoing with him and like a bit of writing songs and stuff with him in the past. And one of the sad things about losing Mike was obviously not playing with him anymore, but it's been really nice to have Andy and get to know him a bit more and play music with him, because he's really good for us, and he's been helping us play this new album. So definitely lucky that we've got him.
Good on you. Have you been to New Zealand before?
No, never, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I know, I would love to. My brother and his got engaged to an American, but they lived in New Zealand, and they got married there and had their first kid in Wellington. And loved it so much. I never made it over, but they moved back to Scotland. But I think they regretted it, because they really think that New Zealand is such a special place.
Yeah, although we're all back locked down and locked in at the moment. Had like 1 or 2 cases, and they're very strict about it. So we've all been sitting around, especially in Auckland. We're locked down for like a month, and it's kind of it's winter, and it's kind of rainy and cold, and everybody's by themselves. So
it's kind of sounds like Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me, and hopefully the record will do well once it comes out on Friday. And
fingers crossed.
It's got to be kind of strange doing it all over the place, you in one place and the rest of the band in another. And
it is a little bit, yeah. But I'm always in contact with the band and all that, so I'm sure we'll be sending plenty of messages and and all that, and we'll feel fun despite us being all apart. But yeah,
excellent. Well, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
No worries. Take care.
See ya. Bye-bye.